Howdy folks, I'm Smiling Snowdrop, silently singing sweet springy serenades.
I'm Amber.
And here are more sweet springy serenades for us to sing, except for it just turns out that they were Reddit stories. So let's get started on that. Alright folks, and our first letter is titled, Am I a jerk for buying my stepdaughter a traditional Navajo dress for graduation? My stepdaughter is 17 and I'll call her Linda, and she is graduating high school with honors. She is half Navajo from her mom and half Guatemalan from my husband. She had her heart set on wearing a traditional Navajo dress for graduation. Originally, she had arranged to borrow one from her aunt on her mom's side. One night at dinner, I asked if she had picked up the dress yet, and she looked really defeated and said that she couldn't anymore because of family drama. I asked if we could just buy her one instead, and she told me that they're really expensive, around $500 to $600. I had already planned to get her a Tiffany's necklace for graduation, so I told her that we could skip that and use the money for the dress instead. She said that she would much rather have the dress. Well, the next day, she found one that she loved online. It was about a 3-hour drive away, so I suggested that we make a day of it so that she could try it on and look at other options too. She was really excited. I told her to pick a day where she got out of school early, that I wasn't working, and that her mom could come too. I made it clear that I wanted her involved. Well, fast forward to the day of the trip, and I asked if her mom was coming, and Linda said no. I still had my husband go and pick her up. When he got there, her mom was upset and said buying her the dress is something that she should be doing, and that I had no right to take that moment. My husband told her that if she wanted to buy the dress, she could. That turned into a screaming match between them, and Linda called me crying. I calmed her down and told her that we would figure it out later. She ended up upset with both of them for arguing in front of her. Well, the next day, I had Linda call her mom so I could talk to her directly. And I put on speaker so that Linda could hear everything. I explained that I absolutely wanted her involved, and that the only reason I offered to pay was because I knew the cost might be difficult for her right now. She got defensive at first, but when I said that she could buy it instead if she wanted, she kind of backtracked. We eventually came to an agreement. We would all go together and she could buy the moccasins and jewelry and I would buy the dress. Well, we went and everything stayed calm and Linda got her dress. Her mom still thinks that I overstepped and inserted myself into something that should have been her moment. But honestly, I just wanted Linda to have what she wanted for graduation and feel special. So am I the jerk? All right, folks, what do you think?
No, not the jerk. It seems like the mom's message was for her not to get a dress at all. OP did the kind thing. She knew that this dress really mattered to Linda, and so she again let the mom buy it if she wanted to. She's like, I'm not trying to overstep. I just want to make sure she gets the dress.
You know, I think even if OP hadn't offered for the mom to come along, that the mom was being really entitled and mean in this situation, right?
Mm-hmm.
This was done in good faith. It wasn't done out of a way of showing her up or anything like that. And the fact that she's reading it this way, I feel, is problematic. And Linda deserves to have the dress that she wants for her graduation. And I think that OP took that into consideration. Instead of getting her an expensive piece of jewelry that she wouldn't want, she went and helped her, offered to get her this dress. And again, like, I understand the mom feeling a little maybe disappointed that she couldn't contribute to this part of it, but that isn't OP's problem, right?
Right, and the solution isn't to punish the daughter.
Yes.
Like, it's unfortunate that the things didn't work out with the aunt. It sounds like that was something out of the daughter's control anyway, and like, you can't let your child suffer because of family drama.
Exactly. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. Alright folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a jerk for telling a stranger that their underwear is visible? This literally just happened. I went up an escalator. In front of me was this woman with her child and her husband. She is wearing really tight black flare leggings, and her undies were shining right through. It didn't look intentional at all. Note that her butt was literally in my face as I stood below them, and I'm a woman too. When we reached the top, she had to adjust something on her jacket, so I used that short moment to tell her, hey, your whole underwear is visible, just so that you're aware of it, without judgment or implying that I find it wrong. She kind of gets angry and huffs at me to get lost. Am I the jerk for pointing out that a stranger's underwear is fully visible? I wanted to be as nice as I would want to know, and I would be thankful if a woman came up to me and pointed this out. Edit, English isn't my native language, so the translation might sound a bit crude. And she also wore a scarf, so she would have been able to fix it. All right, folks, what do you think?
No, absolutely not the jerk. I mean, it sounds like, again, OP was just trying to do a kind gesture and let her know, like, if something, if that happened to me, I would be embarrassed in the moment, but I would rather someone tell me than not know and go about my day as though nothing's up.
Well, I think that OP did this in good faith. If they had done it in like a mocking or ridiculing way, then that would be a different situation. And like if OP had gone to the top of the escalator and been like, hey, your underwear's showing. Hey, everybody, look, this lady has really thin pants on or something like that, you know. I think that that would have been a little bit of a situation, but where OP kind of said it as discreetly as possible. I am guessing that she just was taking out her frustration on OP in that moment, and that OP didn't do anything wrong in this situation. Not everyone's going to want to know about this kind of thing, but I think that OP would want to know, and I think they did the best that they could in the moment. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. But folks, let's see what the Wheel of Judgment has to say. Wheel of Judgment, turn, turn, turn. Tell us the judgment that OP's earned. You're the jerk, and that's an understatement.
Wheel, I am going to vehemently disagree with you there.
I think the Wheel is being horribly judgmental here. They're like, no, I wouldn't want to know if I had my underwear showing. I just want everyone to see it. And now, A Story About Me says, if they can't fix it in 5 seconds, you don't mention it. Weight, pimples, hairstyle, outfit, all off limits. Zipper down, lettuce and teeth, toilet paper on shoe, speak up. And My Darling Clementine says, not a jerk, if the garment is sheer and someone may be exposing themselves inadvertently, you tell them. Same thing goes for period blood leaks, regardless of how long the fix takes. You just can't let someone walk around like that. What do you think of those two comments?
I mean, I think in general, you know, that's somewhat of a good principle, but there are, of course, exceptions to that. Like if someone is exposed in a way that they would not be comfortable with, you need to tell them even if it's a longer fix.
Yeah.
Now, it sounds like in this particular case, even the woman had a jacket, so it's something she could have fixed. But, you know, even if it wasn't, it's still worth letting someone know, oh, by the way.
I think this person, the first commenter, is a little bit off the mark here because weight, pimples, and hairstyle are all things that you really can't do anything about in the moment. Like, you can go to a hairstylist, right, and get your hair changed, but maybe even in there you have to let it grow out sometimes. Pimples, that's not something that you can really do anything about, and it's more like a moment thing where you kind of have to deal with it or live with it, right? And weight is the same kind of category where, you know, if you have weight on you and you're, you know, you just can't do anything about that. But an outfit is literally something that you can change. And, you know, in this particular case, there was a way of changing that. And plus, if she wanted to, she could even go into a store, since I think they're in the mall here, and buy an article of clothing to cover up. So I think this person doesn't really cover even the full breadth of their comment. And I Am Them says, exactly. Now they know just not to wear them again unless covered by a longer top. And R. Molly 464 says, I vote not the jerk because I would want someone to let me know if my butt was showing through the bottoms while I'm in public. And I'm Jack's last brain cell says, once a truck slowed down behind me while I was walking down the street. I thought, here we go, catcall time, but no, 2 dudes just yell, your skirt is stuck in your pants, and kept driving. Full underwear was visible. I hated every second of that interaction, but I preferred that way over not knowing. I'd bet the woman in the OP story was just really embarrassed and reacting defensively because of it, but in hindsight, being glad that she now knows. Alright folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Crying and Canceling Dinner with My Boyfriend's Parents Last Minute? I'm an 18-year-old female and my boyfriend is a 19-year-old male, and we've been together for about 5 months. I was supposed to have dinner with his parents for the second time this weekend, but my boyfriend was in a really mean mood all day. I was getting ready for the dinner while on FaceTime with him, and he kept criticizing me for every little thing. First, I had too much makeup on, and then I redid my face. He said that I looked too dark. I've got very dark skin. He then said that I had dark circles under my eyes and wanted me to fix them. But A, that's just kind of how naturally I look, and B, fixing that would mean a lot of makeups, which he's already said no to. Then, when I finally got my makeup the way he liked it, he started immediately asking what I was going to wear, and then vetoed literally every single thing in my closet. Like every item was either too casual or too formal, too colorful, too plain, everything. And on anything that was even a little bit fitted on me, he would say it's too tight, and at one point he went, kind of weird that so many of your clothes are this tight, which just really set me off, and I started crying. I've been slacking on exercise recently just because of work and school, and it was just the last straw that broke the camel's back, I guess. Well, I was already super stressed about meeting his parents, and I felt like garbage, and I couldn't stop myself. He sat there on FaceTime, watching me sniffle like an idiot, and then when I said, I'm sorry, but I think I'm just going to stay home tonight, he started trying to calm me down and talk me into going and meeting his parents. He said that he's just worried because he wants them to like me, and he's sure that we can find something in my closet I can wear. But I just felt like garbage, and I had already ruined my makeup, so I told him, no, I'm sorry, I'm staying home. He got mad and said if I didn't want to meet his parents, I could have just said so, but he'll go and talk to them, and he hung up. About an hour later, he sent me this long text where he said that I was being manipulative by crying, and I always do this when he gives me an honest criticism. But I don't feel manipulated, I just feel bad about myself and guilty for not seeing his parents. I was talking about it to my friend, and most of my girlfriends said that he was being a jerk. But 2 of my guy friends both said that I should give him some slack because he was probably just worried about me meeting his parents. So now I'm not really sure. Am I the jerk for breaking down and canceling last minute? All right, folks, what do you think?
Absolutely not the jerk. His requests were inappropriate, and it seems like OP was in a lose-lose situation where he vetoed her entire wardrobe. Like, even if his parents are like more like they don't want her showing skin or whatever, I'm sure that something she had would have been acceptable. Not that like you should have to cave in situations like that, but like just like a general nice going to dinner outfit. I'm sure there was plenty of that. And then like, oh, too much makeup, not enough makeup, all this nonsense. Like, it just feels like OP could not win. It does not feel like a healthy relationship. It does not feel like a good situation. And I would reconsider not just this relationship with the boyfriend, but with the guy friends who are also like, oh, you should cut him some slack. He's just looking out for you. If he were looking out for OP, then if his parents were to criticize her outfit, he would stand up for her.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's really what this boils down to, is that he should be standing up for OP, not trying to tear her down or tell her that she needs to change for the parents. And the fact that he's like, oh, well, you have dark circles, or don't have too much makeup, or any number of things, just really kind of shows a level of immaturity. A lot of women wear makeup, and that's perfectly fine. And a lot of women don't wear makeup, and that's perfectly fine too. But to try to regulate the exact quantity of makeup that she's supposed to wear, I don't know, that feels a little bit absurd. Like, he should like his partner for who she is and the clothes that she wears and her style, and not try to mold her into a version that her parents will find acceptable. He just needs to grow up and realize that sometimes people are going to have to that he's going to have to stand up for, the people that he cares about when it comes to situations like this. So I think that OP isn't in the wrong, and I do think that there are some pretty big red flags in this situation. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And Content Reveal 160 says, you're only 5 months into this relationship, and he is trying to control everything about you. Time to leave. And Gremlin of Spite says, not the jerk. He sounds like an absolute jerk. You're young, and you've only been with him for 5 months. Dump him, block him, and don't take this kind of verbal abuse from anyone. And Negative Bill 3792 says, trust yourself. Cancel dinner and the relationship. Not the jerk, and F that guy. And Comfortable Ask 7752 says, and the relationship. I agree, what a jerk. And Not Your Mom 123 says, I don't think that he likes you. Nothing he said makes sense. He's telling you that nothing you do is right, and he doesn't like the way you look. Drop him before he makes you crazy. There are wonderful men out there, so get free and find one. All right, folks, it is tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got some tea right here, and Amber, she has a joke.
What did the baseball glove say to the ball?
I'll catch you later.
Yep.
Oh, well, I wasn't actually expecting that punchline. Now I don't know what to do. It's like the dog who catches the tire. So, yeah. And I have Earl Grey. All right, folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Happy Spectacular Saturday, folks. And you know what makes it spectacular? You do, and Amber does too. Amber, we need some kind of moral advice and or guidance, and please have it on clothing.
Your clothes are your own business.
Yeah. But thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye.